Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for that very encouraging talk. And I'm one of the juniors and that was mentioned, so we'll talk about how well we have gone over the last year and a half. We're listed in 2007, and the last 2.5 years we've been active in the gold space. We've been putting out a series of announcements which have been quite positive, and we've gone from about 12 cents to 55 cents today. We've got about 3.4 million in cash. The top 20 own about 65%. But in this company, a lot of the stock is held with high net worth investors, so we haven't really gone down the institutional space. And that's probably part of the reason that the stock is very tightly held, I guess. We happen to be in probably the second biggest gold area in West Australia at Laverton, which is about 300 kilometres directly north of Kalgoorlie. Here we've been working on an area called Hawke's Nest, and the last area called Hawke's Nest 9 is the one that it's starting to look extremely promising, and we'll talk quite a bit about that. We've been very active here. We've completed over 400 drill holes, but they're generally very shallow. The average depth's around 40 metres. And we're starting to have quite an inventory of shallow gold, and we're trying to build on that, and I'll explain exactly why we're doing that. This is a background of the Leonora-Laverton area. It's over 30 million ounces been mined historically and currently. Some of the big mines you've probably heard about: Wallaby, Sunrise Dam, Granny Smith is now mined out, Goarly deposit, which is still going, and a number of other ones which you've probably heard of, Westralia and Jupiter. We've talked about the gold price, and it's still looking pretty promising. Obviously, in some of the areas that we're working on, when the work was done, the gold price was very low, around $400 to $500. So what was unattractive then is certainly attractive now. And our objective is to try to find 1 million ounces in and around existing big mines. This table just gives you a backdrop of how busy we have been, and all our dollars are sunk into the ground, which is what most shareholders want to hear. We've completed about 23,000 metres at Hawke's Nest, which is our main project. We have been working on several other areas, but it appears as though the Hawke's Nest area is the one that's shaping up. Okay, this is an aeromagnetic map showing the whole region, and this is what I use to try to find ore bodies. You can see some of the bigger deposits. Sorry. Yeah, the Wallaby deposit is about 7 million ounces in here. That's the old Granny Smith mine that's been mined out. That processing facility is used by Goldfields, so they mine underground about 1 kilometre down, and they truck to Granny Smith where they process. Dacian, which you've probably all heard of, mine at Mount Morgans and at Jupiter. They truck their underground ore to Jupiter, and they process both materials here in their processing plant. There has been some historical mining at Lancefield, but generally there hasn't been any new discoveries for quite a while. So what we did, based on the aeromagnetics, we chose areas that we thought were prospective, and we started off at Hawke's Nest 5 and a number of other Hawke's Nest areas, and we ended up coming down to Hawke's Nest 9. And that's the one that's looking pretty good. So this is another diagram. Gives you the outline of these: Hawke's Nest 9, Granny Smith, Wallaby, Jupiter, West Australia. But it also gives you a couple of other areas that we're working on which we think can add to the inventory which we're trying to build up. Lady Julie happens to be one of those. So both these areas where we think we can build up sufficient surface gold inventory suitable to potentially mine ourselves or do something with our neighbours. The other project that we're doing a bit of work on is called Homeward Bound. Okay, so this is, I guess, a synopsis of all the big mines in the area. And fundamentally, they have different rock types, but generally they have some localised structural zone and or intrusion. But the most common theme throughout are these flat sheets or flat lodes or shear zones, which are carrying most of the gold. So we see it at Wallaby, and they're mining down at a kilometre depth at the moment. We see it at Sunrise Dam, where you can see these a little bit steeper shear zones cutting through, and we also see it at Jupiter. Clearly that has to be part of the exploration approach, and you have to take that into account when you're doing the work in the field. And that's what we've been doing. Okay, so this is a bit more detailed. So what we've done, we've basically run ground magnetics in areas that we feel are very prospective. This gives us the more detailed structural framework, and based on that we can look at the association with mineralisation and work out which are the important faults in the area. So we've actually done that. So we started our work in the Hawks Nest 5, 6 and 4 and 3, and we noted that a number of the gold areas were trending along these structures. And then we started chasing this structure going south, and we intersected Hawks Nest 9 at the bottom. You can't, yeah. And Hawks Nest 9 is an area that we did extensive soil geochem. So basically we follow structures using soil geochem, and that's an area that we've now uncovered a 3 kilometre long soil anomaly, which I'll show you next, I think. No, this one here. So that is the soil geochem, averages around 0.3 to 0.4 of a gram. It's about 3 kilometres in length, maximum around 0.8 of a gram. And every time we've drilled that anomaly, we've hit, in fact, these purples are greater than a gram, and the whole area has been, drilled quite in detail by us now, but note that nearly in all cases where we're getting the gold is where the soil geochem is. When we start drilling deeper, it doesn't always correlate, so these are some of the deeper holes. The other thing to note, if we go back one, sorry I'm stepping around a bit, this is the actual intersection map. What we find here is that there's a series of old workings, and these workings are just little pits, but those pits sporadically go right across the 3 kilometres, and you can see some indications they're in black, but in the field there's heaps of them, and you can believe this or not, but the field has said there's so many of these pits that we can't even fit our drill rig in, so we have to fill in the pit and start drilling. So I thought that's a good story, so that's why I'm repeating it today. So basically we've been chasing this structure. This is a mineralised shear zone, which is an altered porphyry with quartz veining, and when the quartz veining comes in with the porphyry, we get the gold. Note that some of the intersections are from surface. Some of them range between 1 or 2 metres, some are up to 5 to 10 metres. I think the best so far is 1 metre at 31 grams, sitting up in the northern tenement here, which we've optioned off for Prospector. So we control this whole area now, and so the objective, as I said before, is to find how much of this material, surface material, can we outline. We can actually wireframe all these intersections, and we haven't actually done that yet, mainly because we're still evaluating it going south. The second thing to note is that we have done a lot of drill holes, and we are waiting for about 62 results from 62 drill holes. You can see they're quite shallow. And And at the same time, we're planning for the first time 5 deep drill holes, which are in green. And that will be looking for, I guess, indications of that deeper flat lode-like structure we see in the big deposits. We do have clues that exists here. And you can see there's some parallel zones here, here and here. We expect to intersect that down maybe 50 to 80 metres, and there's another zone under here which you can't see. So they all dip in a shallow direction around 20 degrees to the east, and basically we're saying that there's a chance that we'll have multiple lodes here. If we do get multiple lodes, then there's an opportunity to get a very large deposit in this area. And that's, it'll be a brand new deposit. It's never been mined at all. Okay, so we've been talking about Hawks Nest 9, and there's an area called Lady Julie which is adjacent. This is an area that's been drilled historically, so we have only just started drilling it. The reason why we picked it up is because we noted there were shallow intersections here. So this is the area in pink, so we optioned it off a couple of, I think one geologist and one prospector, and we noted there were some shallow intersections in altered porphyry, and there were a number of workings up here, so we were very interested in the similarity. What we did note is that, again, there are intersections, but they haven't been extensively evaluated like we've done next door. So we just started drilling here, and there's quite an extensive drill program, adding up to 4,300 metres of RC and air core drilling. So that program is meant to finish in about a week and a half. So they're going quite well, drilling close to 200 metres a day. So basically what I'm trying to do is see how much surface inventory I can find in this area. So the distance between there and there is about 2 kilometres, and if I can find another area similar to that, then we're looking at a potentially large surface resource. Obviously we need to drill these at depth and see if we have multiple lodes, but once I know the distribution of the surface, I can try to understand the depth. So that will happen probably over the next few months. This is one of our previous areas called Hawks Nest 5, and here we did get some pretty interesting results. I think the best is 7 metres at 5 grams from about 5 metres, but we didn't get the continuity that we're getting at Hawks Nest 9. So we'll come back to this project at a later date, but at the moment Hawks Nest 9 is the one that we're looking at. Further to the southeast, actually getting very close to the Wallaby mine, is this iron formation. We've done a little bit of drilling and we're getting some results. The best was about 6 metres at 5 grams from 10 metres, and we've followed up and we're still getting some hits. So we're assessing, it's this area in here, and you can see there's some continuity of hits along this banded iron formation. What we haven't worked out is the plunge of the system, and once we've done that, we'll be able to start trying to drill out the potential pipe-like bodies through these deposits. These are relatively shallow. You can see some of these outcrop. So that's one of our other projects. We do have projects in the, let's call it the Leonora area. Mainly we focused on the Mertondale area, the northern area, and Christmas Well. We didn't actually get too much at Mertondale, but we got some encouragement at Christmas Well. And the latest area that we're working on is called Homeward Bound, which is on the edge of the map. Yeah, so Homeward Bound, there's some historical drilling, and we've gone out there and chased it with soil geochem, and the soil geochem shows that the This structural zone, which is called the Federal Shear Zone, has anomalous geochemistry, and we're going to do some RAB drilling almost across the whole area and also to the south to see whether we can get some encouraging results prior to putting down some deeper RC holes. So that work will probably come up in the next month. Yeah, so the Christmas well area, we did get some pretty interesting hits, 4 metres at 11 grams, yet when we drilled it along the strike, it seemed to, we didn't get much more encouragement, a little bit. So we'll have to put on our thinking caps and see what else we can find here. So it's one of those things, not all the areas come up trunks, and this might be one of those. Yes, big nuggets. We probably found one of the biggest nuggets on our Mertondale property. There was certainly interest at the time in the 20-ounce nugget. The prospectors have been back and they unfortunately can't find any like that again. So I think it was a one-off where they found a 21-ouncer and a 10-ounce one. That created a bit of interest. I got a phone call from the people on the project, and I was on the project the next morning. So they got onto it almost as quickly as my daughter in America, who rang me and heard about the nuggets, and I told her it was ours. So I don't know how everyone can find out as quick as that, but they certainly did. So I announced it in the morning. Project talked to me in late morning. My daughter rang me in the afternoon. There you go. Last but not least, we do have some iron ore projects, but we sold them and we retain a royalty. And these are coarse-grained magnetite projects. And these are unusual. They're in a metamorphic belt, not that far away from Northam, which is pretty close to Perth, near the main railway lines. And they're very coarse-grained magnetite in these iron formations, and they're very easily extractable. So for any iron ore guys here, this is a fantastic project. And that's it. That's the rig that we're hiring, and there's 400 of those holes. Yep. Thank you.